Yo, what is going on, everybody? LaggingLelandYT here, back with another review. Today we're going to be reviewing Rob Zombie's Munster movie. If I'm being dead honest with you guys, this is probably one of the worst movies of the year. One of the worst movies of the year. And if it's not one of the worst movies of the year, it's definitely the most boring movie of the year. This movie is so weird. It's so... it's weird. It's really weird to explain, and I don't want to waste too much time talking about it. But man, it's weird, it's boring, but it's also bad. It's a weird combination of those things. So let's just get into it. This is probably going to be the last review of October. Rob Zombie, right? I don't know much about Rob Zombie. I don't really know what his filmography is. I know he made I know he's known for making a bunch of horror movies, and he's good at rock, supposedly. I don't know much about him. But from what I've heard from other critics, he's actually like the Michael Bay when it comes to horror movies. He's like the M. Night Shyamalan or Michael Bay of horror movies. I'm not really sure if that's true. I haven't seen his other stuff, but a lot of trusted critics have said that, right? And that kind of lowered my expectations when I headed into this. This movie is so weirdly shot. Like, you can tell by watching it that it's low budget. You can tell that, and supposedly it had a budget of like $14 million, and that was it. Like, that's all the money that they had. And you could tell money's on the screen, but it's not much money. You could definitely tell that, like, a lot of the money was put into other things that were not really focused on, like, the quality of the movie. You can tell that, like, the set pieces are very, very well put together. In fact, let me just put all that aside real quick. I want to talk about the two good things about this movie. The first thing being the makeup. The makeup was actually really good. You could tell that some of these characters had lots of makeup on them, especially Herman. I don't know who plays Herman, but they definitely put a lot of makeup on him, and it was enough makeup to look like Herman. So I will give props to them for that. I don't like it. I don't like Herman when he's green, though. I think they should have made him like a blue, like the way they did in when they colored the Munsters. In some incarnations, they do make Herman blue, and I think the blue is a little bit better. But yeah, that makeup was really good on a lot of the characters. I thought it actually looked really cool. And then the set pieces, man, the set pieces actually looked awesome. Like, if I went to one of these places and it was like a haunted house or one of those escape rooms, it would actually be amazing to go to. It looks so cool. The backgrounds and everything, like the set pieces, you can tell that those are very high quality. Like, the way that these beakers are sticking out and they're like glowing, all that stuff looks so cool looking. That's definitely the positive, my biggest positive from this movie. It's amazing, though. Those parts are amazing, but everything else is not so good. First of all, let's just talk about the overall plot of the movie, because I actually think the plot of this movie is decent. I think the idea is decent, but man, is it just executed very, very poorly. So, the plot of this movie, right? The plot of this movie is the origin of how Lily and Herman met, right? In the original movie, they referenced plenty of time, or not the original movie, the original show, which I have seen a lot of the show, so I know what I'm talking about. I love Munsters, it's amazing. And in the original show, they would talk a lot about how Herman and Lily met, and I think they would talk a lot about how maybe Grandpa didn't approve at the time, kind of like a Hotel Transylvania thing. And I feel like if they had done something like Hotel Transylvania and they just ripped off the plot from that, I actually think it would have worked a lot better. I know it would have been stealing the idea, but it would have worked a lot better. The idea of Herman and Lily meeting for the first time and really getting to see the origins of the Munsters is actually a really cool idea. But it's executed so poorly in this movie. It's executed very, very poorly. So let's talk about one thing, right? And it's a huge waste of time, right? This movie's pacing is really weird. They have these, like, the first, like, 30 minutes of this movie, maybe not the first 30 minutes, but, like, a good chunk of the movie is Herman's origins, right? And we know, if you know of anything about Frankenstein, which, I mean, you should know just the even if you know the bare basics of Frankenstein and how he works, you should still understand how Herman works. Basically, it's just a scientific experiment that was a bunch of human bodies put together with the brain. That's it. Like, it came to life. That's it. That's all you have to know. And that's all that we knew. That's all that we knew about Herman, and that was fine. We knew enough about Herman in the original show and in some of the spin-offs. That's all we needed to know. In this movie, they have to give us a super long, super annoying / boring explanation. There's these two grave robbers that go stealing like corpses and like zombies and stuff, and they're like they find, and so I don't know what it, like they're, I guess it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. They're I don't know, just to me at least the acting is very corny with those characters, and they have to like they have the science experiment. They put Herman on the thing, and they end up they spark him up, and boom, he awakes, right? They wanted to put in like a very, very smart person brain into his head, but instead they accidentally put like a stupid comedian's head into Herman. And so that's where he gets his personality. But it's just, to me, I just think it's a big, big waste of time. It's a huge waste of time. You could have cut the last few, you could have just cut it to where they were about to, like, make Herman, and boom, you would have had the entire, boom, there's Herman's origin. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. But instead, they waste a big chunk of time with this, like, just overly dragged out backstory. And it's like, we don't need a backstory for that character. And I feel like it also, towards the end of the movie, right? They have this, like, and then, and the plot, I already told you about the plot of this movie, is how Herman and Lily met and how they got married, right? They get married, and there's still, like, another 30 minutes of the movie left. And I'm over here scratching my head wondering, what the heck are they possibly doing with that time? Well, it turns out, and it's a weird side plot, there's this, like, cousin of Lily's, this, like, werewolf. I think he was in the original show, if I'm not wrong. This cousin, and he accidentally, like, gambled on the grandpa's, like, mansion, house, castle thing, so they can't live in Transylvania anymore, and they have to move away because they got evicted, and stuff like that. But it's, like, it's such a, like, I don't know, the side plot is not really good. I think it's just kind of confusing at times, if you're not paying a good attention to that, which, honestly, it's hard to pay attention to any of the movie. It's really boring. This movie is really, really boring. And then they go to the U.S. They go to America, and they go to, like, I think California, wherever they moved to. And boom, just like that, they're at the house. And then I thought, okay, you know what? They're going to end the movie there. Nope, then they don't end the movie there. They still keep going. And they're, like, spending a few days at the residence, the first few days of them moving in. And then, okay, it's still going. And then, like, the werewolf cousin that, like, I don't know, he sold the house to, like, pay off his debt, right? The werewolf. And so he comes back and he's like, oh, I went to Vegas and I gambled and I got a lot of money. And then they end off of such a weird, like, no, it's so weird. They find out that they're rich. They don't show us how much money, but they're like, oh my God, we're rich. We won the he won the jackpot. Now he's giving us some money. And they're all celebrating. But it's so weird. It's like you could have cut off at any moment in time and it would have been so much better. But of course you don't cut off. You just drag it out. That doesn't make sense. And that also doesn't line up with another thing in the Munsters canon. I don't know if you count this as canon, but there was a Munsters movie made in, like, the 80s. I think it was the 80s or 90s. And it did not have the original cast playing them. But a lot of, like, fans that have seen it, it's also kind of obscure because it's kind of hard to find. There was no official release of the movie. But fans of Munsters that have seen it, they said that it actually is a really good, faithful adaptation of a movie of the Munsters, right? And they even got some of the original cast members to make a cameo appearance, right? And in that movie, the plot is that, also, I hope this review is not very long, but the plot of that movie is how and why the Munsters had to go to the mansion. Why did they have to move out of Transylvania? Why they had to go to the U.S.? And it's because of, like, mobs, I think. I haven't seen the movie. I think it's because of mobs. Here they have a weird side plot that, like, They got evicted. They got evicted because someone sold their house or to pay off a debt or something like that. And it's just so weird, man. You could have explained it the other way and it would have dude, they could have explained it in another way and it would have gone by just like that. Like it would have such an easy way to explain it, but instead they have this weird subplot that doesn't make sense. Or it does make sense, but it's just boring. Everything in this movie is pretty boring. The acting in this movie is pretty bad as well, or at least most of it's pretty bad. You can definitely tell that some of the actors are actually trying in this movie. You can tell that some of them are trying. Some of them are trying a little too hard. Like, I don't know, some of these characters, like these actors that are playing them, they just don't feel like the original characters that we're watching. It feels like such a poor imitation. Like, they got, from what I've heard, every Rob Zombie movie has his wife playing a character, which is, like, supposed to be, I guess, romantic, but it's just, she's not a good fit for the character. The whole mannerisms of her is just not, it doesn't match Lily. If you just watch these two characters, they seem like totally different characters because of the way that they act. And you could say, well, it was a young Lily, a young Herman. It doesn't matter, man. They still act like totally different characters. And let's talk about Herman's personality, because Herman's personality in the original, it was just, he was funny, he was dumb, but he was kind of like Patrick. He was a lovable dumb. And in this new movie, they tried to play him off as like a bad comedian. So he's like cracking puns all the time, and he's making bad jokes all the time, and he's laughing. But he laughs at basically anything. It's like an overreaction to everything. And sometimes Herman would overreact in the original Munster show, but it was always done like tastefully. It was always done periodically, or not periodically. It was a one-time thing in an episode. It wouldn't happen all the time. In this movie, all you hear is, oh, 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 oh. That's not funny, bro. They do it over and over and over again, and it gets annoying. It honestly gets annoying. Not to mention, I don't know who plays Herman in this movie, but the voice of the dude is honestly kind of annoying. I'm not trying to be mean towards the person, but whenever you hear Herman, you know, like in the original show, Herman was like, oh, Lily, or Herman, or that. He had a deeper voice, kind of, right? It was a humble, deep voice. Here, it goes from a sort of deepish voice to like I'm looking for a vision. It's weird. If you watch the trailer, you'll know what I'm talking about. And there's these, like, it doesn't make sense. His voice just swaps from, like, one to the other. And then he's also screaming in a lot of scenes, and I just don't think it works. It really doesn't work. And another thing about this movie that I honestly feel like is just so weird is the way that it's filmed. The movie is like filmed in such a strange way. I'll try to show you some clips if I can. If I can show you some clips from the movie. There's these clips, these scenes where, like, okay, also they use like stock effects as well. You know, like when some people fall in love in like YouTube videos or something, or like movies where they play like the harp, or there's that, like, I guess pixie dust sound effect. That stuff is played in the movie at times, and honestly, it seems really low budget. Like, the way that it's presented is just so cringe at times. There's these scenes, I think it's the scene where Herman and Lily fall in love, I think that's where it was. In the back, it has like Herman and Lily, I guess they're on a green screen or something, and then the background has these like hearts on a black background, and they're spinning or something, and it's done so, like, I don't know, it's done so cheaply, but it's like, it's weird direction. It's just really weird direction. I don't know who would be really like, I don't know, I if I was making the movie, I wouldn't have done it like that. I don't know, I just think it would, I don't know, it's really, really weird to explain. But scenes like those are just weird. Some of the scenes of this are just weird. They're boring, or they're annoying, or they're just unfunny. A lot of the jokes in this are unfunny. And there's only 2 jokes in this movie that actually made me laugh, okay? There's one joke where, because, you know, in the original show, Herman was a crybaby when it came to pain and stuff, or doing things. But he was also indestructible, so that was kind of funny at times. He would be a crybaby. He'd be like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. It's too dangerous. He was indestructible. He couldn't die, you know? But he was still acting like that. In this movie, they have a scene where Lily and Herman are getting tattoos of each other. And I love how like Lily, she's just she sits down in the thing and she's fine with it. Herman's crying like a baby when they have he's getting tattooed, right? And I love that. That honestly felt like something that would have been in the original show. I actually like that writing. And the only other joke in this movie that actually had me laughing is this one scene, and it's kind of hard to explain it in like great detail without making it sound like confusing, but basically Grandpa was mad at Herman because he thought Herman had sold the castle, and so he goes to their like honeymoon hotel room, and Herman's like, "Oh, I ordered room service," and it was like a bottle. He ordered like champagne or something, right? And he opens up the door and Al's there. No, not Al. The Al's the name of the Al was the name of the original actor. I don't know why. Sometimes I call the character that, but no, the grandpa, the count, whatever you want to call him. So the count is there, and he has a wine bottle, and he tries to hit Herman with the wine bottle as an act of violence, right? But Herman thinks it's the room service and grabs the bottle and just closes the door. But it's done in such a comedic kind of way, and I don't know, the timing and pacing of that joke was actually really well done, and I actually liked that. And it felt like something that would have been in the original movie. Like Herman tries to, no, not Herman. Their grandpa tries to hit Herman with the bottle, but since Herman is so strong and unknowingly strong, he just grabs the bottle with ease as he's trying to hit him with it. And boom, he just closes the door really subtle, like just really, really fast. And it goes by really, really fast, but it's actually really well done. I'm not going to lie. Those are the only two jokes in this movie that actually got to me because they felt like they would be in the original show. But that's basically it. There's nothing else in this movie that's funny to me. I don't think anything else in this movie is funny. I think some people are going to see this as a so bad it's good movie or just a movie that's kind of funny, but to me, none of it was that funny. And it's directed very strangely. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. It's kind of a waste of time. If you're a diehard Munster fan or just someone that's looking to watch something, I guess you could watch this, but if you want to watch something else over this, definitely go watch the other thing because this is just not worth the time, in my opinion. There's not enough really to enjoy in this movie. There's not much to enjoy. There's not really much to just have fun with. I know James Rolfe, I think that's how you say his name. I think that's how you say his name. James Rolfe, the video game nerd, the angry video game nerd. I love his reviews. He said that he had a lot of fun watching this movie, but he's one of those people that really has, he finds enjoyment even in the worst things, and I'm not one of those people. And so for this movie, I just see it as kind of a waste of time. It's one of the worst movies of the year, but that's not saying too much because a lot of other movies this year were pretty good. But again, this is just one of the worst movies of the year. I don't think it's really good. If you're curious about watching this movie, like you're curious about it, I would honestly say that this movie's kind of just a waste of time. If you want to do something else with that 2 hours, do something else with that 2 hours. Again, the only thing that I really laughed at were those two jokes I told you about. The only things that are really worth watching in this movie are really seeing the backgrounds in this movie, the set pieces. That was amazing. But other than that, the writing and everything else is just so cheap. It's really cheap. It's really just unfunny. But that's basically it for this review. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and share if you guys want to see more. If you guys subscribe, it'll keep me motivated to keep making more videos. And I want to keep making more videos. So please do that. Please subscribe. Please share. If you guys want to give me anything on Fortnite, my Epic Games is LaggingLelandYT. That's just if you want to give something that you don't feel obligated or anything. But I hope you guys are going to have an amazing Halloween. God bless you guys, and I'll see you all next time.